Hey guys, today I want to show you a little illustration of how faith works in the Bible. So last week we talked about the story of Noah and the ark and the flood. In that story, you had God's promise to Noah and his family that they would be safe if they built the ark and entered it. And then you had Noah's obedience to God. He built the ark and he took his family and went inside of it. And things worked out in the end. But what would have happened if God promised safety to Noah and his family, but they didn't build the ark? Well, a flood would have came, and the waters would have swept everyone away, and we wouldn't be alive today. Well, what would have happened if Noah and his family built the ark and entered it, but God didn't provide safety? Well, the same thing. They would have died, and none of us would be alive today. So the way that faith works in the Bible is that you need two essential ingredients working together to support each other. You need God's faithfulness to do what he says he'll do, and you need our obedience to obey God. Only when you have those two parts leaning on each other will it work out in the end. Believe it or not, the Hebrew word for faith is actually the word for support. So, with my little house of cards here, if I don't have both cards leaning on each other to support each other, my structure won't be strong enough. It won't work. Faith is the same way. You gotta have both parts supporting each other for it to work. God's promises and our obedience. Now you guys can try to build a house of cards to illustrate for yourselves how faith in the Bible works. You know what I just realized is I should probably give a tutorial for the teachers and students if they want to build a house of cards for themselves. So, here's how support works in terms of the physics of a house made of cards. So one trick you can do to get your cards to lean on each other and not fall down is don't make the angle so steep. Right? You don't want the cards to be pushing on each other very much. Otherwise they have to be exactly perfect in order for them to stand up. But give yourself a little margin of error if you put the cards up taller like this, because now they're already standing upright on their own, so they don't need to lean on each other very much. Like that. Another trick that you can do is you can take the card and bend it just a little bit so that the cards are bent facing each other. That way there are 2 points of contact between the cards on both ends, instead of just 1 point of contact in the middle if they were bent like this. So you want 2 points of contact. Don't need to bend them very much to get it to work. Another thing that might happen is if you are right-handed and you build your first little teepee and you go to build your second one, your left hand bumps the first one and it falls down. So if you're right-handed like me, you have more dexterity with your right hand, so you should build your first teepee on the right hand side. This way, when you go to build your other one, you're less likely to bump into it on accident because your right hand is more coordinated. Like that. And then, this is actually surprisingly strong. You can just drop the third card on top because you've made a good support that'll support whatever you do on top of it. I'm not saying it'll survive an earthquake, but you know, it's better than what you might expect. And there you have it. You just got to put your third teepee on and you have your first little house of cards. You can build your house a lot bigger if you want by building a bigger support on the bottom and then building smaller supports on top and so forth. But I just thought that this would be a good way to give you a little tutorial on a few tips and tricks to build your house of cards. All right, hopefully you guys have everything you need to build your own house of cards for yourselves. Doesn't always look like it's going to work out in the end, but the way that faith works is by building that solid foundation of the two pieces leaning on each other. God's promises. Oh, no, terrible timing.